Western Ukraine. And in this, I'm going to explain a bit about what happened in day one of this trip through Ukraine. As always, with a live chat, I would ask you to keep the language appropriate, bearing in mind that there could be others who see it. And secondly, of course, you can ask any questions that you want. I know that this is 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning here in Ukraine, 5:30 in the morning in Germany, or 30 in the morning in the United Kingdom is not the best time to start doing live things. But anybody who's in Australia might be interested, or for that matter, in the United States. So I'm taking part now, whereas this channel's about mobile living, and so that's what I do. I do talk about motorhomes and do lots of things on journeys throughout Europe. This trip here is on, it's taking humanitarian aid to 3 locations in Ukraine, so we're a convoy of 3 vehicles. And so the collection point was in Lublin in eastern Poland. I'm based in Poland, so I went there by train, and then we set off yesterday. And as always with a convoy or with a group of people coming together, things get delayed, and we also had vehicle trouble before we even left. So we had to get another vehicle, then trying to find another vehicle which somebody will actually, because of all the problems taking into a war zone, there's certain legal consequences with things like insurance, as you could imagine. So the departure was made in quite cold weather. But when the worry here, of course, is that there's going to be snow, and snow, I really dislike driving through snow. Anyway, as it turned out, the snow wasn't too bad, and the roads were quite clear. Of course, that's in Poland, where the roads are, they have snow plows, and they put salt on the road, so it's not too bad. I thought the conditions yesterday in Poland, actually, when we got going, were really ideal. Very pleasant drive, supremely pleasant drive. And oh yeah, I see you broke your leg, Apki, and you're up really early. It's 5:30 in Gdansk. You get to the Polish border, and going through the border, because it's a humanitarian convoy, we were actually we went to the very front of the queue, and I did feel rather embarrassed in some ways about doing this, but people just they actually get out your way and let you go through. And it seems though that one place they're getting priority treatment at the customs. There was somebody, he said, you can't do that. Then he came back, oh yes you can, and so that was quite good. So in the Polish side, absolutely very pleasant, no problems whatsoever. Ukraine really does let itself down with the amount of administration and paperwork and all sorts of other things. I've got a couple of horror stories from the Ukrainian customs. And yesterday, I'd have to say that in a way, bringing humanitarian aid, but the amount of paperwork was, although I didn't have to do it, but for the lady who had to do it, I thought was pretty bad. And we're bringing them all this stuff free of charge, which goes to help people, yet we have to go through piles and piles of paperwork. And I do appreciate that a certain amount of checking has to be done, because at the end of the day we mightn't be doing what we're doing, and I do appreciate that. That's why we have customs officers and police officers and the like. But this was real exaggeration. Having said that, once more, I've got to say that even the lorry drivers get messed around awfully on roads. I know I've mentioned this in the past and things when I've talked about places to sleep, but I have a great deal of sympathy for lorry drivers, the way they're treated. and the long distance ones. But there, they just let us through. So, oh, please go ahead. Yes, all right, don't worry about it. They were really, really, really nice to us. The difference between Poland and Ukraine is with the current terrorist campaign, which is being done by the Kremlin against this country, means that the lights are out. I wouldn't say the lights are out everywhere, that's not true, but it's really the difference between the Polish and the Ukrainian borders was utterly stark. Whereas on the Polish side, lights are on, it's normal, and all the rest. But obviously, it gets dark at Poland's getting dark at four. No, I'm exaggerating a bit, but 4:15, something like that. Here's an hour's difference, but so it's getting dark at 5:15, at least in Western Ukraine. But as you drive out and it's dark and no lights. And you go into towns and things, there's very little light on, and that is something which really to me stood out. Okay, I'm indoors now and there's a light on here where I am, but I even here, for example, although the heating was on, I turned it off as a mark of respect. I thought that was the appropriate gesture to do. So the effects of the terrorist campaign, this is dark, and I really feel, I mean, here where there isn't war damage, but for the people actually, I think of people I met earlier this year who didn't have any windows in their homes because of the bomb blast, so they were living still in buildings which had been hit by bombing or something like that. So part of the building might have been destroyed, but where they were may have been still standing, and maybe it was structurally sound, even though the staircases were sort of wonky. It was really odd walking up these bombed staircases, but how they're actually coping. Older people who were poor before the war started, and maybe having to live off. There was a lady who was living off a pension I met of something like, it was €70 a month or something, and costs which are food costs which are higher than those in Germany. It was really quite tough on them. So anyway, I've uploaded some photographs and things on this on the Facebook channels, although my history channel on Facebook, not my motorhome channel on Facebook. And I've actually filmed things, of course, which I shall do later. If you want to ask questions, then you can actually put them below, and I might even I'll incorporate them into future live broadcasts. I'll just give a mention to whom I'm actually doing this for. There you go, Fundacja Zmieniamy Życie. And the point of looking at what we're doing here is not only looking at the Ukrainians who had to leave the country, but also bring those who couldn't leave. We're trying to help them by bringing them a certain amount of food, medical aid, blankets, for example. We've got quite a lot of them, and we've got a generator as well. So thanks to everybody who's actually giving us support, and we are doing our best to actually help people out here. We brought our own fuel with us as well for the journey, and our fuel stations. I don't know what the situation is here because we haven't actually taken any fuel from the fuel stations. The only one thing I could say is that the fuel prices here were approximately 20 cents lower than they are in Poland, which did somewhat surprise me, if they have fuel. So there may be long waiting queues and things of this nature. When I was here the last time, you're allowed to take 10 litres only from each fill up, and you could have to stand in a line for some time to get a fill up. Okay, thanks very much for listening, and I shall, internet permitting, of course it's not that easy to get internet, and I can't use my local internet from Poland because it was really very, very expensive, horrendously expensive to do something like this. But internet permitting, I'm trying to get myself an internet card today, and I'll use that. So thanks for being with me, and all the best from me in Ukraine.